like this, invite them, send the link to them, and invite them to join the session. We'll have an amazing session today talking about financial analytics. What does it take for you to get started as a financial analyst? And what are the key skills you need to learn? And we'll also have a practical session today using Power BI to do a little bit of, financial tracking of an organization's performance. All right. We'll keep it simple for the benefit of those that are new getting into the space. So if you haven't used Power BI before, you don't know what Power BI is, you have no clue on anything I've said so far with regards to getting into tech, this is the best place for you to be. And I would walk you through all the nitty-gritty of what you need. And by the end of today's session, you'll be able to build a similar dashboard that I'll be building today. Okay, but let's dive into our main session. All right, so I'm going to share my slides and then we'll dive into the main meat of what we have today. So I want to get to find out, for those that are joining us for the very first time, if you're joining us for the very first time, type in a 1 into the chat. So I want to see the newcomers. Okay, I want to see the newcomers. If you're joining for the very first time, type 1 into the chat. Fantastic. Charity, Kingsley, Eyinaya, Sadiq. Good to have you with us today. Ada, you're welcome. Udoka, brilliant. Paul Additional, you're welcome to today's session. Okay, so let's get started with the main meat of what we have today. Now, before we dive in fully, I also want to know where you are joining us from. All right, and I'll start with mine. I am joining from Alberta, Canada. So just type in your location and let's know where you are joining us from. If you're joining from Scotland or the UK, Charity is also in Alberta. Fantastic. Kaduna, Eyinaya. Mansour is joining from Tanzania. Kingsley from the UK. You're all welcome today. We're expecting a lot more people to join us. Ngozi is also joining us from Canada. Kessa is joining us from the UK in Liverpool. Brilliant. Ghana, Vincent, thank you for joining us today. And Clem is joining us from Bauchi. Now, let's do a little bit of introduction and then we'll dive into the main meat. So what we're doing today is tracking financial metrics using Microsoft Power BI. And like I said, even if you haven't used Power BI before, you will have a very good understanding of what to do at the end of today's session. And you'll be able to build all the things I'll be showing you, okay? So be rest assured that in the next 1.5 to 2 hours, by the time we are done and you receive the recording of today's session, you'll do every single thing I'll be showing you today, okay? Who are we at Analytics and what are we all about? Analytics is an educational technology company and we focus on helping Africans in diaspora, Africans in Africa to transition and get into the tech ecosystem. And we do this by reducing or lowering the entry barrier, equipping you with premium skills to get you started. I started my journey as a data analyst about a decade ago, and it was a very difficult journey for me because I had no mentors, I had nobody to walk me through, I had no structured learning approach. I was learning everything and anything, and that took a lot of time. I wasted so much time trying to transition. And that was what gave birth to Analytics eventually. 4 years ago, in 2020, we decided to help more people that look like me to get started in the tech ecosystem. And over the last 4 years, we've been able to help over 2,000 people to make that transition from the classroom to getting their jobs in tech. And we provide training in different areas and consulting services for companies in different industries with regards to data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, cybersecurity, financial analytics, and so on and so forth. And for me, for those of you joining for the very first time, my name is Adaiza Suleiman. I'm a data analytics expert and I'm the founder of Analytics. I've worked as a data science consultant for companies across the globe, including the US and the UK. I've also worked across major organizations in sub-Saharan Africa in multinationals. And over the last decade of my career, I've cut across 5 different sectors, from energy to sports to educational technology to automobile and financial services. And what I've done is to help these organizations understand the data that they have and help the organizations take decisions based on the findings and what the data says. So I literally use data to make organizations grow. And over the last 4 years, the focus has shifted from corporates to individuals. So how can more people like me also get their journey started in the data ecosystem or in the tech ecosystem? Okay, so what are we doing today? Our session would cut across 3 major areas. The first one would be a practical case study where we will get data. I'll share the data with you, and we will use the data to monitor and track the performance of a company. Okay. Afterwards, I'll show you what you need to learn to become a financial analyst, because this is where a lot of people also get confused. Just followed me on LinkedIn. Absolutely. Thanks for that, Augustina. I would accept your connection. Okay, so my name is Adeza Suleiman on LinkedIn as well. So feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. All right, so I'll show you what you need to learn to become a financial analyst, the key skills in a structured learning approach, a structured learning environment to help you get started. Okay, and lastly, I'll be introducing you into our upcoming cohort starting on the 4th of May, 2024. That's literally next week, Saturday. All right, and I'll also introduce you to an amazing discount that we have for you. All right, now we'll be working with Power BI, and you don't need to have used Power BI before. Like I said, what I've done is I've also kept a link for you to access a video that we created that would help you understand how to download and install Microsoft Power BI. But for those of you that have Power BI already, you can follow what I'm doing. However, you really don't need to, okay? I want you to concentrate. I want you to ask questions so we have a very good, engaging session. And at the end of today's session, for those of you that fill the attendance form and stay till the end of the session, you will receive the recording of this session. And you can go back at your own convenience, try to replicate all the things I'll be showing you today. Okay, so let me show you first of all how to download and install Power BI very quickly. And then I'll give you access to the data set. There are 2 data sets. One is for Q1, the other one is for Q2. All right, I'm going to download the 2, and we will make use of the 2 data sets. Like I said today, those of you using MacBook cannot follow me definitely, because to install Microsoft Power BI on Mac requires some additional tweaks here and there. Okay, which is something that we can't do with in a very short time. Okay, Kingsley. But what I'll do, Kingsley, is downloading Power BI for Mac is something we provide to our participants who join the program, so that you have a very good idea on what to do and how to install Microsoft Power BI. But what you want to do is you want to go to Google. All right, open up Google in your browser and simply just type download. Just type download Microsoft Power BI. All right. So when you go to download Power BI, you will see different options, different links. You want to use the first link. Okay, click on the first link, and this takes you to the Power BI page. Now, what you are concerned with, the Power BI you need to download is the Microsoft Power BI desktop. So this is the Power BI you install on your computer and you work with on your computer. The Power BI mobile is for your mobile phone. You can't use this to build reports. You can only use it to view reports. So let's assume you work in a company, you are part of the data team, you are a financial analyst in the data team or commercial team. And there's a weekly report that we use to track the performance of the organization. I could create the reports, publish the reports, and send to everybody on the team. And everybody who has a mobile and has Power BI installed on their mobile can view and interact with that report or dashboard, but you can't build a dashboard with a mobile. So you want to go to desktop, all right, and click on advanced download options. Advanced download options. So all these things I'm saying, I've embedded it into a link on my slide. So at the end of the session, when you receive the slide, you can just watch that 3-minute video. It shows you step by step on how to do this, okay? It brings you here once you click on advanced download options and you want to select English, okay? Click on download. Of course, if your language is French, you want to select French. If it's Spanish, but I speak English, and my preferred language would be English. So this is where you download the file you want to install. Now, if you're sure you have a 64-bit computer, you download the 64-bit. Okay, the x64. If you are not sure if you have a 64 or 32-bit, you download the first option by selecting it. Now, once you have it selected and you click on download, it downloads the file for you. Once you open up the file, all you need to do is click on next, 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 and it would install on your computer. It's a pretty straightforward process, nothing technical, nothing difficult. And that's how you download and install Microsoft Power BI for free. All right, you don't need to do anything special to have it downloaded. Yeah, I'm just checking the chat if there are any questions. Am I the only one who hasn't been receiving any of the class recordings? So, Okere, if you are in the WhatsApp group, you should receive the recording. If you also fill the attendance, you should receive the recording. All right, you should receive the recording. So once you see the attendance link posted, you want to ensure that you fill the attendance. It's one of the prerequisites for you to get the recording. All right, you don't need a special laptop to have this done. Somebody is asking, you need a mid-level laptop or a mid-range laptop, entry level. If you have an 8 GB RAM, let me just write it on my screen somewhere. You know, mid-range laptop is okay, nothing too advanced. So in terms of RAM, sorry, RAM, your RAM can be 8 GB. Your space, which is the ROM, can be 256. HDD or preferably SSD. If you have an SSD lasts longer if you have one. Solid state drive, okay? And it could be a Core i5. Core i5 is okay, all right? It works perfectly. If you have a Core i7, brilliant. If you have a MacBook, it's also brilliant, okay? But your RAM should be at least 8 GB. Okay, that gives Power BI more leverage and more room to run effectively. All right. This is not a continuation of yesterday's class. It's a new class, Ifeoma. It's a new class entirely. We're doing something totally different using the same tool. Okay, so now let me show you what the data looks like very quickly. Sorry, excuse me. And I'll share this with you. So once you click on the link, let me click on the very first one. It takes you into an Excel online page and you can download the data from there. I'll drop the link in the chat so that you also have access. Okay, so let's wait. Connection was reset. This should come up. So once you click on the link, the first link, it brings you to Q1 2024 data. There are two data sets, Q1 and Q2, all right? So you have the performance of a company. So this is a training company, just like Tenalytics. Tenalytics offers training, correct? So this is a training company. So they have a training budget, what they have decided that they will have to make in terms of revenue and spend. So this is very simple, okay? So as a financial analyst, one of the things you will do in an organization is to check if whatever you have set as a target is being met or superseded, or you are below the target. All right. So if you are below, you know that there are issues. Where are the issues? Where are we not making enough revenue based on the targets we have set for ourselves in 2024? And also the profits. So you have the training budget. You see that at the bottom. You have the dates, which is Q1. You have the cost names. You have the revenue target, which is $100,000 for every program. There are 5 different programs: business analysis, data analytics, data engineering, data science, and financial analytics. 5 different programs. And the revenue is $100,000 for each. The cost is $40,000 and profit is $60,000. Okay, so this is what this company wants to make Q1 2024. Now, going to the actual, what the company has done so far. So we go to the actual, you'd see the dates when the training held. So the course name, data science, what was the actual revenue for this particular training that held on the 16th of February, 2024. We made $4,976. We spent $1,567, and we made a profit of $3,408. So we want to take this actual and measure it based on the target we have set. So when I aggregate all my actual revenue, my actual cost, and my actual profits, have I met the targets we set for Q1 or not? Okay, so this is something we are going to look at. The last data set we have here is the calendar. All right, we have a calendar. We have the dates from 1st of January to December 2024. Okay, so we have a calendar. We have the month name. We have the month name from January to December as well. And you have the month number where each month represents, January represents 1 and December represents 12. Okay, when we get to bring in the data into Power BI, I would explain the reason why I created the calendar here, because you can create your calendar in Power BI, but I've decided not to do that because if I start to show you how to create a calendar in Power BI in a 1.5-hour class, everybody would leave this session today because you wouldn't understand how the DAX functions have been, how I come about the DAX functions, and I don't want to confuse you. All right. But in the main class, when you join, you will have access to all these ways, different methods for creating your calendar, automatic calendar that updates itself whenever the day increases. So, but we have kept the calendar here. This is a static calendar that starts from 1st of January 2024 and ends on the 31st of December 2024. Okay, so this is what the data looks like. So let me share this with you guys. Okay, so I'll share the data set with you so that for those of you that want to work with me, you have that opportunity to do that. So just give me 1 second and I'll drop it in the chat. Okay, so I'm dropping it in the chat right away. So data set 1. All right, so I just dropped the first data set in the chat. Now, how do I download this data set? Okay, how do I download? All I need to do is click on File. So when you look at the top left, you see File, you click on File, you click on Save As, and then you'd see Download a Copy. Okay, let me take it one more time. You'd see File, you click on File, you click on Save As, and then you'd see Download a Copy. So the moment I click on Download a Copy, it will download it into my computer. Okay, like I said, for those of you that want to follow me, it's fine, you can do that. However, while following me, if you lose or you miss out on a particular step, it might be difficult for you to catch up again. So the best thing is for you to listen, watch what I'm doing. It's a watch me do it session, ask questions, and at the end, you get to understand how I've completed it from start to finish. And once you receive the recording, you can do exactly the same thing I'll be showing you today. So now I have downloaded my data set, and let me show you where the data is. If I go to my downloads, so if I go to my downloads, you'll see the data that I downloaded. Training company data set Q1. That's the data I just downloaded. Okay. And that's the data right here. So I simply went to file. I simply went to file. I went to save as and download a copy. All right. So you have it downloaded on your computer. Now, once you have it downloaded, it's time to bring up Power BI and get the data into Power BI. All right. So let's get our data into Power BI. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize this. For you to bring up Power BI, all you need to do is go to your search bar. Once you've installed, downloaded and installed, you go to your search on your search bar and just simply type Power BI. The moment you type Power, all the different applications you have that starts with Power, your Power BI, your PowerPoint, your Power Automate, everything comes up. Okay, but what I want is Power BI desktop because that's what I want to work with today. So I click on Power BI desktop and this brings up Power BI for us. So let's just give it a few seconds and Power BI would come up. So while it's coming up, I'll go to the charts to see if we have questions. I guess I'm not in the group community. So Priscilla just shared the link. You want to access the link. So once you've launched Power BI, this is what you see on your screen. Okay, it sees something like this once you've launched Microsoft Power BI for the first time. You'd see something like this on your screen. Okay, Chidima, don't worry, you have no issues at all. Just join the WhatsApp group and I'll show you how to access the recordings. The recordings are always available. I'll show you how, okay? Don't worry about that. So once you've launched Power BI and it comes up like this, you simply click on this icon at the top left corner that says Reports. You click on what? Reports. So once I click on Reports, it opens up a new Power BI interface. Remove. It opens up a Power BI interface for me. And it looks very unassuming. But one of the very first things you would see is add data to your reports. So you want to bring in data for you to do anything on this particular Power BI reports. And what we want to do is we want to look at the actual revenue for this company, the actual costs for the company, the actual profits for the company in Q1 and check if we have met the targets we set at the end of last year to see if we met the targets we have set for ourselves in terms of revenue, cost, and profits. Okay, so that's what we want to look at, and we want to do it simply using Microsoft Power BI. Okay, so now we need to get our data into Power BI. Remember, we have downloaded our data into our computer. Mine is in my downloads. So for those of you that have access to the link I shared and you also want to download, you can go ahead and do that. The link is also on my slide. Let me show you one more time. All right, so that's the link over there. Okay, so at the end of the session as well, as long as you're in the WhatsApp group, you are in our community, you will receive these slides. You will receive the slides either at the end of today or first thing tomorrow morning, and you can go ahead and do all the things, watch my video side by side while you're also building yours. Okay, now let's go back to Power BI. I want to bring in my data that is in downloads, this data set that you have here, this one. I want to bring it into Power BI. So I go to my Power BI and at the top left corner, you'd see this icon that says Get Data. And get data simply is very intuitive. If you see get data, you can tell what get data means. You want to get data from somewhere and bring it into Power BI. And this time around, our data is in the downloads in my computer. So if you put yours in documents or on your desktop, all you need to do is navigate to that particular area of your computer or location and get the data from there. So I click on get data, and my data set is an Excel workbook. Your data could be on the web. Yesterday, we got data from the web and we used that for our analysis. Today, our data is in an Excel workbook. All right. So when you download the data that I shared with you, you download it in an Excel format. So it's an Excel workbook, and I'll simply just click on Excel workbook. Okay. And when I click on that, it would ask, where do I have my data? So I click on downloads. My data is in downloads. You would see the training company data set Q1, and that's where my data is. All I need to do is click on it. You can either double click on it or click on it once and then click on open. Okay, you can either double click on the data set or click on it once and click on open. And once you do this, Power BI is doing something. And what is Power BI doing? Power BI is going to that location to extract the data. To do what? Extract the data. Okay, so Power BI has gone there. You can see the navigator window. And under the navigator window, you have the training company data set Q1. And in that same Excel, you have your calendar, which I showed you. Let me show you one more time so that you see exactly. Let me open up the link again one more time and show you the data we are playing with right now. Okay, we saw the training calendar. Let me refresh. Yeah, so it's going to come up now. So this is the calendar, right? This is the calendar, the training actuals, and then the training budget. Okay, you can see the data set. So inside Power BI would also recognize that you have your calendar, you have your training actuals, and you have your training budget. We want to bring in all the data sets into Power BI. Okay, so we're going to select everything. So I'll tick the calendar, I'll tick my training actuals, and I'll tick my training budget so that I can bring in all the three data sets into Power BI. Now, once I've ticked the three of them, I have three options at the down right. It's either I load, I transform, or I cancel. And this takes me to my first major concept I'll be teaching you today. When you work with Power BI, for those of you that joined my class yesterday, I taught you ETL. All right, ETL is an amazing concept in Power BI. It's best practice. You should follow this when you work with Power BI. So the moment I went to get data and I selected that file in my downloads folder, the file I downloaded, what I did was to extract my data from that location. Once you extract your data, 80% of the time, your data would not be in the right shape for you to analyze. The data could have some inconsistencies. You might want to remove a column. You might want to add something to the data. You might want to do some calculations to that data set. So all those additions, removal, modification, changing the data set is called transformation. So you extract, you transform, and after you've transformed, you've removed the unwanted data sets, you have added or combined columns to make your data and prepare your data for analysis, which is a transformation process. After that is when you can load your data. So you follow this process of ETL, extract, transform, and load. I want you to type it into the chat. ETL, extract, transform, and load. I need to be sure that we are all together. Fantastic. Thanks for that. Ifoma, Kingsley, yeah, Esther, Olanio, Ada, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so now that you know this ETL, you follow this process, extract, transform, and load. Let's go back to my Power BI. All right, at the down right corner, I have three options: load, transform data, and close. Which of the three options should I select? Should I click on load? Should I click on transform? Or should I click on cancel? Tell me what to do in the chat. Transform. Fantastic. Transform. Remember, you must transform before you load. ETL. Extract, transform, and load. Once you've extracted your data, the next step is to, once you've extracted, the next step is to transform, and then you load. We have not transformed yet. So transformation is the next step. So remember this, and that's what we are going to do. So I'm going to click on transform instead of loading. And the reason is simple. I don't want to load my data directly because remember, 80% of the time, your data would not be in the perfect shape for you to start your analysis. You need to make one or two changes, okay? And that's the reason why you want your data you want to transform. So I click on transform data, and this will take me into an environment where I will be able to transform my data. So let me show you, which is called the Power Query editor, sorry. It's called the Power Query editor. Okay, so once you click on transform, it brings you here to this particular environment. This environment is inside Power BI called the Power Query editor. And this is what you use to reshape your data if you have to do that. Okay, so I'll start from the very first table called my calendar. I would look, and I'm sure my calendar table is fine, all right? The first column in my calendar is the date. The first column is the date. And if you look right beside the date, you'd see an icon that looks like the shape of a calendar, okay? So that means that the data I have inside my date column is the date data type. So if I click on that icon, you'd see different data types: decimal number, fixed decimal, whole number, percentage, date time, and date. So the data set I have inside my date column is currently the date data type. So that's correct. My month name, you can see it has ABC in front of month name. This ABC means what? Text. If I click on ABC, you'd see ABC means what? Text. Okay, so my data type is good. If the data type was incorrect, I would have to change it to the correct data type. Okay, my month number, you can see the month number also has 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3 means, if I click on that, 1, 2, 3 means what? Whole number. Whole number. So this is also correct. I don't need to make any changes. This is fine. My calendar table is fine. Okay, I'll go to my training actuals. And when I look at my training actuals, right on the first column on dates, I have something that says ABC 1, 2, 3. Whenever you have ABC 1, 2, 3, remember, put this at the back of your mind. It means that there is no particular assigned data type. No data type has been assigned. ABC 1, 2, 3 simply means a data type has not been assigned to that column. And because what I have in this column are dates, I will simply change this to dates. How do I do that? I'll click on this icon and I'll go to dates and click on what? Dates. And this will change the column to the date data type. So this is part of the transformation process. If I had loaded my data directly, I would face problems when I start my analysis. So you need to do this check. Be sure that your data types are correct. There are no inconsistencies and so on and so forth. Okay, so in my training actuals, that's the only thing I need to change. I only changed ABC123, which simply means no data type has been assigned, and I changed that to date. The course names are ABC, which means text. That's fine. Actual revenue per training is 1.2. 1.2 means decimal number. That's fine. Actual cost is also 1.2 decimal. Actual profit is 1.2 decimal. That's also fine. I don't need to change it. If I go to my training budget, my dates are dates. You can see the date data type. If you click on it, you'd see that it is the date data type. Okay. ABC for my course name is text. I don't need to change. 123 is whole number. I don't need to change it. It's correct. Budget cost is whole number. I don't need to change. Budget profit is whole number. I don't need to change. So these are the things you check. Okay, I could have made the data set a little bit more complicated and would have to do a lot of transformations. But because of time, we can't do all of that today. Okay. Yeah, somebody sending me a direct message. Favor, I just downloaded Microsoft Power BI on Mac, but it can't be installed. So just like I was telling somebody, the gentleman who asked at the beginning, there is no dedicated version of Power BI for Mac. And Power BI is a Microsoft application, for Windows. So what you can do is I'll send you the steps for you to carry out to get Power BI installed on your Mac. Okay, it's not as straightforward as Windows. If you're installing on the Windows PC. For Mac, you'd have to go through a couple of steps, all right, which I'll share with you. Okay, so transform puts the data in the right format. Absolutely, Charity. That's what transform does for us. We put our data in the right formats, in the right, right format for analysis. Okay, so now that I'm sure my data is fine, I don't need to do anything else. It's time for me to load. Now, bear in mind, what you've just seen where we didn't have to do much is not what you'd see typically in the real world. In the real world, your data would be messy. Your data would have so many issues, and you'd have to make adjustments to the data sets. That's the transformation. You saw where I had to change one of the data types from ABC123, and I changed it to dates because it wasn't recognizing my date colon as dates. So those are part of the things you do during transformation. Now, it's only when you are done with transformation, once you are done with extracting, connecting to the data source, you are done with transforming, putting your data in the right shape, you go ahead and what? Load. All right. So it's time for us to load. And how do you load your data? At the top left corner, you'd see close and apply. You'd see what? Close and apply. So I'll click on the drop down and click on close and apply. And the moment I click on close and apply, it would close my Power Query and load my data. You can see load. It is loading the data into Power BI. Loading the data into Power BI. All right, it's loading the data into Power BI. And when it is done loading, you'd see the data set at the right-hand side. If you can see the three data sets, calendar, training actuals, training budget, type in yes into the chart. If you can see it, type in yes into the chart. Fantastic. Charity, Augustina, Mohammed, Mansour, brilliant. I didn't see where you clicked. So where I clicked for it to load is here. Let me show you. I can go back to the Power Query editor. All right. So what I did, Ifoma, was to click on this top left corner, close and apply. And I clicked on close and apply. All right. So when you click on close and apply, it would load your data into Power BI. And you'd see all the tables you have loaded: calendar, training actuals, and training budgets. Now we have three different tables. And let me go back to my slide. I want to show you something before we go back to Power BI. We have three different tables. We have actual, we have budget, and then we have calendar. Now, they are separate from each other. The three tables are what? Separate. My actual is separate. My budget is separate. My calendar is separate. So there is no way I will be able to analyze the three tables together. I cannot check budget and compare it with actual if I don't find a way to connect the tables together. I have to find a way to connect them together. And to find a way to connect them together, I have to look for commonalities between the three tables. I have to look for what? Commonalities. And this is me putting it simply. Okay, this is me putting it simply. All right, there are concepts to how you connect tables. We can only teach that in a full Power BI class, not in a 1.5 hour session. But this is what you need to take note of. Okay, commonalities. If you look at the actuals, you have one of the columns you see in actuals would be the what? Dates. And I'll show you again. In your budget, you also have dates. And in your calendar, you also have dates. So these columns are common across the three different tables. The actual has dates, the budget has dates, the calendar has dates. So having these three columns across the three different tables means they have something in common, and we can marry them together using that commonality. So let's go to the data set and let me show you exactly what I'm saying. So if you look at the training budget, you can see that it has dates, correct? If you go to the training actuals, you'd also see that you have dates. And if you go to calendar, you'd also see that you have dates. So these are the common fields in the three tables. All right. So we are going to do something in Power BI called data modeling. Data modeling. And data modeling is where we connect our tables together using the commonalities between the table. Okay. So what I need to do is very simple. I'm going to do it practically, but I'm simply going to take my actual table, take the dates from my actual table, and I'll connect it to the dates in my calendar table. And I'll take the dates in my budget table and connect it to the dates in the calendar table. That's all I need to do to connect my tables together. I'll take dates, connect it to calendar, take budget, connect it to calendar. All right. Take dates, connect to calendar, take budget, connect to calendar. Once I do that, I have created a data model. I've created a what? A data model. All right. So let's go to Power BI and let's do this connection inside Power BI. So I go back to my Power BI and I want to create those connections I just showed you. How do I create the connections I just showed you? I'll go to this icon at the left-hand side called the model view. Model view is very, you have 3 views or 4 views. This 4th one is new in Power BI. It never used to be there. At least about 3 months ago, it was never there. So you used to have the reports view, the table view, and then the model view. So if I click on the model view, it shows me the 3 tables that I have. I have my calendar, I have my training actuals, and I have my training budgets. You can see them in the form of boxes. So this is the model view. I'm just going to move them around. I want to put my calendar in the middle. Okay, I want to put my calendar in the middle just so that it's easy to see and you guys can see what I'm doing clearly. So these are my three tables: my training actual table, my calendar table, my training budget table. So like I said, and I showed you in the drawing, we are connecting our dates from training actuals to calendar. We are connecting our dates from training budget to the dates in calendar. How do I do that? I'm simply going to click on the dates in my training actual, click on it and drag. So you drag it and drop it. I'll click on it and drag, and I'll drop it on top of dates. It has to be on top of dates in my calendar. All right. So I'm going to click on dates, drag it, and drop it on top of dates in calendar. And once I release it, you'd see a connection made, just like the connection I drew, just to show you guys what I'll be doing. And I'll do the same for the training budget. I'll take my dates, click on it and drag, and drop it on top of dates in the calendar. And once I do that, you'd see another connection. And this is what you call a data model. This is what you call a data model. I want you to type in data model into the chat so I know that we are all together. Okay, type in data model. This is a data model. Okay, you're going to build more complex data models than this, and it would seem very simple to you. All right, so this is just doing something simple. We are creating a simple data model, drag dates from training actual, drop it on top of dates in calendar, drag the dates from training budget, drop it on top of dates in the calendar, and this creates a connection. So without this connection, we won't be able to measure budget and actual. We cannot take the dates from the calendar and look at what happened over a period of time. Okay, and that's why it's important when you're working with different tables or different data in Power BI, you bring them together using a data model. Okay, like I said, there is a concept behind all of this. Okay, but we can't teach every single nitty-gritty in a masterclass because of the time it will take. All right, so now that we have our data model done and dusted, excuse me, I'll move back to the reports page. Okay, I'll move back to the reports page, and this is where I'm going to build my visuals. And again, I want to make this simple so that every single person here, or even if you didn't join the session and you received the recording, you can go back and do everything I'm doing. So nothing complex, nothing complicated for you guys. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I want to start building. I want to see what was the budget for Q1. What was our budget revenue for Q1? And what is the actual? What did we do? So how much were we meant to make as revenue and how much did we make? And I want to show that using something we call a gauge chart, okay? Or a gauge visual. A gauge chart or a gauge visual, okay? So you'd see there, it says gauge, all right? Under visualizations, you have so many different visuals. You can select any one, but I want to use the gauge visual. Okay, so I'll click on gauge, and for any visual you click on, it would appear blank to you. It appears blank until you add data into that blank visual. So this is my blank gauge. All right, let me just increase it a little bit because I'm going to use one for revenue, to track revenue. I'll use one to track my costs. I'll use one to track my profits. Okay, so I think this should be fine. If it's not, I'll create more space. Nothing is set in stone. We can always make changes eventually. All right. So this is my very first gauge. Now, I want to put my targets, the budget. So what is the budget revenue for the period of Q1 2024? So I'll go to my training budget data. I'll click on the drop down to open it up. Ideally, I should write a calculation, okay? But Power BI can also do the calculation for us implicitly, okay? So when Power BI creates a calculation for you, those calculations are called implicit calculations or implicit measures, all right? They are implicit, meaning that Power BI knows what we want and it has done it for us. Now, you'd find instances where you have those implicit measures. You'd see this sigma symbol. You see the symbol, the sigma symbol in front of budget cost, budget profits, and budget revenue. Whenever you see that symbol, the sigma symbol, it means that Power BI has done a calculation for us. So I can either create my own calculation or I can use what Power BI has done. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. Okay, so it matters when you want to do a lot more complex stuff, but we are keeping it simple today and we're not going to do any calculations. So I want to see the budget for this gauge. So I'm going to take my budget revenue, I'll drag it and I'll drop it under my maximum value in my gauge. So I'll take budget revenue, drag it and drop it under maximum value. Okay, and then I want to see my targets. I beg your pardon. I want to see the actual. This is the budget, right? I want to see the what? Actual. So I'm going to go to my actual, my training actual table, open it up, and I'll take my what? Actual revenue, and I'll drop it under value. Drag it and drop it under value. Okay? So you would see the gauge has been created. And you can see the blue line going from the bottom to a little bit close to half mark, but not at the half mark. And it says 647K. So if you look at this, this is the actual revenue we generated, $647,000. And our target is around 2 million. Okay, $647,000. And what we should have made is what? 2 million. All right. This is what the gauge chart helps us do. Yes, we can use DAX for the calculation. That was what I was explaining later. So you can either write your DAX for the calculations, but we are not doing that, to keep things simple. Okay. So you have your actual, you did 647, and you should have been looking towards around 2 million. So I'm just going to make a few adjustments to this so that it looks good enough, because data visualization also has to do with what? Visually appealing visuals. So first of all, I'll go to my view. I'll click on view, and I want to change my theme, the colors and all of that. So I'll click on this arrow to see the different themes I have. Let me see. I think I'll use, let's try solar. Solar doesn't look too bad. If I need to change, I can change it afterwards. It's also not set in stone. No, I think I'll leave it on solar for now. So again, we want to just keep things simple, use visuals that are good and visually appealing to the eyes. Okay, now I've created my very first visual. You can see the title looks very, complex. I want to rename this title and simply just call it revenue budget versus actual. Okay, revenue budget versus actual. So to change the title, once you've created a visual, every single thing you want to add or remove, you can do that from this icon that says format your visual. All right, so I click on format your visual and I'll go to general, click on general, and you'll see title under general. So I'll go to title, I'll click on the drop down under title, and I can change the title from here. So I'll delete what I have in here. I'll delete everything and I'll simply just type revenue budget versus actual. Okay, so you can change the font color, the font type, the font size, and all those things. You can do them here. Okay, but I'll just leave it at that for now. You can see that what I typed in here is now showing on my visual revenue budget versus actual. Okay, so I'll close this up. I also want to add a border to this chart to add an outline just to make it look good. So I'll come back to this general, go to effects. Okay, and you'd see the visual border. It is off. I'll turn it on. You'd see the shadow. Shadow is just to add some, spice or flavor to your visual, just to make it look good, since we're not spending too much time formatting and beautifying it. So I'll just turn on my shadow, and you'd see that shadow effect, which makes the visual pop a little bit better. Okay, so I'll leave it at this for now. Let's not make any more adjustments. So maybe the last adjustment we can make to this is take out the decimal, just so that it is a bit more, it is a bit tidier, okay, when we take out the decimal. So I'll go back to format, click on format, all right, and where you have your call out value, you can see the call out value, which is this value right here. Click on the drop down, go to where you have value decimal places. Okay, it's on automatic. So I'll simply change it from auto. I'll just type in 0 and press enter. Okay, so you see that the decimal is gone. So I have just 647K, which is good. And that's what I want. So I'm doing all of this on the very first visual so that I can replicate, I can duplicate it for my costs. I can duplicate for profits. I don't have to do all these formatting again. Okay, so now that I have my revenue budget versus actual, we can see that out of a budget of about 2 million, we made only 647,000. And you can see where the gauge is. So when the gauge moves all the way down here, it means we've met our targets. But right now we haven't met the targets. I also want to show at the bottom the trend in terms of the month. So from January, what was the revenue like? Did it go up in January? Did it come down in February? Did it go up again in March? I want to show that at the bottom, okay? And I want to do that using a line chart. Line charts represents trends a lot better. So I click on this blank space, and then I'll go to my visualizations, and then I'll select what? Line. You'd see the line chart, the line visual. I'll click on line, and of course you'd see it pop out here blank as well, because we have not added any data to the line. All right. I'm just looking at, can the values be set to approximate? Absolutely, it can. You can approximate the values by writing calculations using the round functions and so on and so forth. Okay. So like I said, Ifoma, most of the people on the call today are new. There are so many things. This value you see here of 647K, ideally, we should have calculated it ourselves. The calendar I also added, we should have written a dark code to generate the calendar table for us. But that will be complicated explaining, because there are certain concepts you need to understand before you get there. All right. So in order not to confuse or complicate things, this makes it a lot easier for you. So now let's create our line charts. For the line charts, I want to see January, February, March, and I'm going to use the calendar month. I'll use my dates from the calendar, and then I'll use my revenue actual to see what went up, what went down, and so on and so forth. Okay, so while I clicked on the blank line chart right here, I'll go to my calendar table. I'll select the month name. I want to see January, February, March. I'll click on month name. Okay, I'll go to my training budget. We want to see what the target was and what the actual was. So I'll go to my training budget. I'll click on what? My budget revenue. All right. And then I'll go to my training actual and I'll click on my actual revenue. Okay. So here we have, right at the top, you have your budget. You can see that you have your budget and then you have the actual. We are very far from the budget. The budget is right at the top and the actual is right at the bottom. I would love to expand this a little bit. So let me extend this to the right, come back here, extend this to the right a little. Okay, so you can see the line charts. We can use different charts. We can use a column chart. So I can change this, for example, just by clicking on it. If I don't want a line chart, I can use a column chart. If I click on a column chart, you'd see that it changes. All right, you have February, January, March. So it is not starting from January. We're going to fix that. When you have instances where your months are not aligned, how do you fix it? So you can see the budget, the target revenue for February. You can see the actual. You haven't met up to the target. So we are tracking to see how the business is performing. But I'll prefer to show this using a line. So let's use the line chart. Okay. Now, I want to change my title as well because this looks very confusing. So I'm going to change the title to monthly revenue, budget versus actual. Okay, monthly revenue, budget versus actual. So click on that. I'll go to my format. Okay, go to general as usual. I'll go to my title and I'm going to type in here. Okay, type in there monthly revenue, budget versus actual. Okay, so I'm just going to type that there. All right. Now, it's always good for you to have your charts looking very neat. There's a principle called less is more. Less is more. So the lesser the elements you have on your charts, the better it is for people to understand what you're doing. So less is more. So things that are not useful, we're going to take them out. All right. So this sum of budget revenue at the left-hand side is really not useful. I'm going to take it out. I'll yank it off. Okay. So I'll go to my visual right here under my format, go to visual, and I'll go to my y-axis because this is on the y-axis. I go to the y-axis and I'll take out the title. The title is on, I'll turn it off. Okay, so it's a little bit better. The lines that you have here, the horizontal lines, are really not necessary as well. Okay, so I'm going to take out the horizontal lines. Okay, so I'll look for where I have my grid lines. I'll come to grid lines. Okay, the horizontal grid lines, I'll turn it off. All right, so my chart looks a little bit neater. Okay, it looks a little bit neater. So the last thing I'm going to change is my legend. The legend says sum of budget revenue, sum of actual revenue. It's too long. I just want to label it budget revenue, actual revenue. Take out the sum, okay? And I'll just simply change that. Before I change it, let's also add the border around this chart. Add a border and the shadow, just like we did for the one at the top, okay? So I'll simply go to my general, all right? Scroll down to where I have effects. So let's close our title. I'll go to where I have effects. You'd see the visual border, turn it on, the shadow, turn it on. Okay, so you can see the shadow, it makes it pop. All right. Now let us change this sum of budget, sum of actual. So I'll come back to this where you have add data to your visuals. And you'd see when you clicked on budget revenue and you clicked on actual revenue, like I mentioned earlier, Power BI does the calculation for you automatically. Okay. And that's why you have sum and sum. But let's rename. You can rename it by coming here. You click on this arrow pointing down and you click on rename for this visual. So I'll click on rename and I'll simply take out the sum of and leave only budget revenue, hit enter. I'll do the same here. I'll click on the drop down. Okay, click on rename for this visual. And I'm going to take out the sum of, I just want actual revenue. The sum of revenue is not needed. I'll take the sum off and leave only actual revenue and hit enter. So it's tidier. If you look at it, you have budget revenue, actual revenue. It makes a whole lot more sense than what you had before. Okay, so now we can see when you're presenting this, you can see that the revenue, you only did 647 out of about 2 million. And you can see where the line is. Your revenue in February was a bit high. It dropped in January. You have, it slightly increased again in March. But we are going to fix the month. If you notice, your month should start from January, February, March, and so on. But it's starting from February. So let's fix it before we move on. How do you fix it? You simply go to your calendar, okay, because you have used the calendar to create this. I'll go to my calendar, clicking on my table view. So you have report view, table view, model view. For us to create our model, we went to model view, right? Now we want to make changes to our calendar table. We are going to go to the table view. So when you go to the table view, you click on the calendar table, you'd see your calendar. What we are simply going to do is simple. I want to sort my months, the month name. I want to sort them using the month number so that 1 being January would come first and 12 being December would come last. So I'm going to tell Power BI to sort my month name from 1 to 12, which means from January till December. Simply, that's what I'm going to tell Power BI to do. How will I do that? I'll click on the month name. Okay, click on the month name. You'd see an icon that says sort by colon. Sort by colon. So I want to sort this month name by the month number so that 1 comes first, 2 second, 3 third, 4th, and so on. So January comes first, February, March, April. So click on the month name, go to sort by colon, and I want to sort this month name by what? The month number. And the moment I click on month number, it will sort it for me. And this has addressed the problem I have. Okay, so once you do this, you click on month name, go to sort by, click on sort by month number. Once you go back to your report view, you'll see that your month now starts from January and no longer starting from February. Okay, and no longer starting from February. Lekon is saying, can you please align the month? I just did that, Lekon. I hope we saw that. Can we arrange the chart to start from January? Okay, I just noticed, you guys had mentioned that in the chart. Why do we not see months beyond March? Because this is only for Q1. So I'm going to add more data for Q2. I'll add more data for Q2 and refresh so that we would see from January to June. Okay, so we are seeing January to March simply because we are working with the Q1 data. Remember at the beginning, we have Q1 and we have Q2, but I'm currently working with Q1. So now that I've created the first one, I don't want to stress myself creating the second, which is the cost. I don't want to stress myself. I'm simply just going to copy this, click on it, and copy and paste. Click on this, Control-C to copy, and Control-V to paste. And I'll create a duplicate. I'll drag it to the right. I might need more space. So let me reduce the size of it. Let me delete. I'll click on it and delete. I might need more space. So let me just reduce this a little bit. All right. So I don't want to reduce when I've created everything. So let's leave it at this. Just reduce a little bit. So I'll click on this, Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste. Create a duplicate. Put this right at the side. Do the same for the one at the bottom, Control-C, Control-V, copy and paste. and I'll put this here. So I have a duplicate of what I did the first time so that I don't have to stress myself again, doing all the colors, doing all the changes, everything is aligned, okay? So for these duplicates, I don't want revenue, I want costs. So I'm going to click on this, all right? And I'll come here to deselect the revenue. I'll deselect actual revenue and I'll deselect budget revenue. Okay, I want costs right now. So I'll go select budget costs and then I'll select actual costs. Okay, I'll take my budget cost is meant to be on maximum, not value. So once you click and it's somewhere it shouldn't, I'm going to drag my budget cost and I'll drop it under maximum. That's where it should be. And my actual cost should be in value. Okay, so this is what it should look like. All right, budget cost should be in maximum, actual cost should be in value. So you can drag and drop, move things around, and this is what we have. So we had an actual cost of $152,000 and our budget was 600. Okay, so this is what cost looks like. I'm going to change my title from revenue to budget, revenue to cost rather. So I'll click on this, go to format, just like we did for the very first time. Click on format, go to general, go to title, and I'll change revenue to what? Cost. That's all I need to do. Okay, and you can see it has changed from revenue to costs. The same I did above, I'll do it below as well. I'll take out my budget revenue and actual revenue, take out, and I'll put in my budget cost and actual cost. So budget cost, click on that, actual cost, click on that. Okay, so we can see the budget cost, the actual cost. It's also saying sum of budget cost, sum of actual cost. I don't want the sum of. Just like we changed for the first one, we're going to change for this as well. So I'll come here, click on the drop down, click on rename, and I'll rename budget costs instead of sum of. Okay, hit enter. I'll do the same for the actual. I'll go to click on the drop down, rename, and I'll rename it to actual costs. Okay, we are about 75% done. Actual costs, hit enter. Okay, so we can see, and I'll just do the same for profits. So I can copy the two and paste at once instead of one by clicking and dragging and selecting these two. So you can select the two at once and Control C and Control V. Okay, or you can do it one after the other. So I'm just going to do it one after the other, Control C, Control V, duplicate this one more time, bring it to the right-hand side. The one at the bottom, Control C, Control V. Okay, bring it right here as well. So I'm also going to change monthly revenue to monthly costs. All right, the title, monthly revenue to monthly costs. So I click on that, I click on format your visual, and I go to general, I go to title, and I change revenue to costs. Okay, and then we are here. So let's do the same for this. Here I want profit. I don't want cost. I've done revenue, I've done cost. I want to do my profit. So I'm going to click on that. I'll take out my actual costs, take out my budget costs, and then I'll take my budget profits, drag and drop it under maximum value, and I'll take my actual profits, drag and drop under value, and this gives me my profits for that period. Okay, I'll do the same here. Click on this. I'll take out my budget costs, actual costs. I'll select my budget profits and actual profits. Okay, so this also shows me profits. How did we do with regards to profits? And I'll just change my titles and we are done with this chart. And I'll show one more chart here and we'll add more data and then we are done. So I'll change from costs to profits. I'll click on this, go to format, general title. I'll change my title from cost to profit. Okay. I'll do the same for this. I'll click on it. Title change from monthly. Revenue, I'll change this to what? Profits. Okay. So now we can see, and the sum of budget profits, sum of actual profits as well. You want to change that sum off, just like we did for the other ones, just to make it look neater. So click on the drop down, rename. I'll change this to budget profits. All right, do the same for the actual, rename, and I'll change this to what? Actual profits. Okay, change this to actual profits. Okay, hit enter, and that seals it for us. Now, we want to see the programs giving us the highest profits. So which of the training programs? Is it the data analytics? Is it the data engineering? Which program gives us the highest profits? To show that right here, I would use a bar chart, a clustered bar. So I'm going to click on the clustered bar. It comes out blank. Let me just increase the size a little bit, drag it down a little bit, okay, to fit and align with the visuals I've created. Then I'll go to my actual, because I want to see the actual profits for each training program. So I'll click on the course name, and then I'll click on what? Actual profits. Okay, so I can see the different training programs. Again, I just want to add my border, add the shadow to make it pop, and I'll change my title as usual. Okay, so I'll come here, I'll click on format. Okay, I'll go to general, I'll go to my title. Let's change the title. I'll just call this profits by training programs. Okay, profits by training programs, right? Then that's for my title. I'll go to effects. I'll add my visual border, and then I'll add my shadow to make it pop. Okay, what else do I want to take out? I want to take out the course name title from here. It's really not necessary. And I want to take out this sum of actual profits from the x-axis. So the title from the y-axis, the title for the x-axis, I want to take them out. Okay, so I'll go to visual, click on visual. Okay, go to y-axis, and I'll take out the title. Okay, I'll go to my x-axis, I'll take out the title. I want to take out these grid lines. I don't like the vertical grid lines. So I'll go to my grid lines, vertical grid lines, I'll turn it off. And the last thing I'm going to do, I want to show the numbers, the labels right here. How much did financial analytics make? Data analytics, data engineering, data science, business analysis. So I'll go to my data label and I'll turn it on. And you'd see the labels. 0.13 million, which is around 130 million thereabouts. So we can see all the programs, the program giving us the highest revenue, giving us the highest profits rather, is the financial analytics, followed by data analytics, data engineering, data science, and business analysis. Now we need to give this a title so that anybody that sees this knows exactly what we are showing. How do I put in my title? I click on insert. Once you click on insert, you'd see the text box. I'll click on text box, and this gives us a text box. And I'm going to type in there, and I'll call this training performance tracking. Okay, or training performance analysis, or training performance tracking, or training budget versus actual, depending on what you want. But let's just call it this for now. I'll select everything I have there, and I want to make it bold and bigger. So I click on bold. Let's use the font size of 24 or maybe 28. Let's use 24 for now. I want to centralize. Okay, center. And then I want to change the color to fit with the colors I have. So let's use the amber. All right. And I'm simply going to resize to fit what I have. So let's resize this. Okay, so we have our training performance tracking. And we can see revenue, we have not done too well. We can see where the target is. We can see where we are from January. We had a little increase in February and we dropped again in March. With regards to cost, similar, because we really did not hold much training to meet the revenue targets. And you can see the profits as well. Profits went up a little bit in February, but still far from our targets. Now, we're going to add more data to this so that we can see more months from April, May, and June. Okay, we'll add more data to what we already have. Now, there are several ways to make this a lot better, to automate the process. Because if this is something you do every week or every month, you can connect your Power BI in a way that all you need to do is take your data and add it into a folder and come and click on refresh. However, showing you that today will take a lot of time. Like I say, there are so many ways of making things optimal using Microsoft Power BI. So what we are going to do for the benefit of this class is we'll download the Q2 data, would copy the data from Q2 and paste in Q1, and then we'll refresh, and you would see how this would change. Okay, so let's do that. So now that we have our tracker to help us track our revenue, our costs, and our profits to see how we are performing, we can clearly see we are not doing too well. Okay, so let's go back to the data, Q2, and this is where I'll bring out my Q2 data. So the same way we downloaded Q1, I would click on the Q2 link. It takes us to the Q2 training performance, and I'll download that just now. So let's download Q2. So this is Q2. You can see that training company data set Q2. I'll click on file, click on save as, and I'll download a copy. Okay, so let me send to the chat. Yes, I'll send that to the chat. Just give me 1 second. Ifeoma, I'll send it right away. Okay, so let me copy that and send to you. All right, so you have that in the chat. So when I'm done, I want somebody who will, tell us what they think about this company. So data set 2. So I just sent that to the chat, Ifeoma and any other person who wants to work with that. So I've downloaded my Q2. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go to my downloads where I have my data. So this is Q2 that I just downloaded, and this is Q1. So I'm going to open up Q1. So let's launch Q1. I'll launch my Q1 data, and then I'll copy my Q2 and paste in Q1 and update. Okay. So let me show you what I'm trying to do so that you have a very clear picture of what we are trying to achieve. So this is my Q1 data, the data I'm currently working with in Power BI. You have it here. You have your budget, you have your actual, you have your calendar. Okay, so I'm going to take my Q2. I'll copy the budget in Q2, paste it in Q1, copy the budget in Q2, in the training actual, paste it as well. So let's go to the Q2 data. I'll go to Q2, open it, double click to open. Okay, so let's wait for it. So this is Q2, enable editing. It's a safe document for you to open. All right. So you can see you have your training budget, training actual, right? I'll first of all copy my my budget for Q2. I'll copy the Q2, which is from April. Okay, I'll copy the April. Just select everything from April to June for the budget, and I'll copy, Control C. I'll bring back my Q1 data and I'll paste it in here, Control V. Okay, so just copy, straightforward, Control C, Control V. go to my actual, and I want to also paste actual from Q2. So I'll go to Q2 data again, once more. I'll go to the training actual, and I want to copy everything from training actual because this is from Q2. So I'll select everything, all right, from the top all the way down to the bottom. Select all the data, Control C to copy, and then I'll go back to my Q1 data and I'll paste it in my actual, Control V to paste. Okay, so this is one way of doing it. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a way you can do it where you connect your Power BI to your folder, just like this folder you have here. So you create a folder like this, you create a folder like this called Training Performance. And in Training Performance, you have your Q1 and Q2. So you create your reports using Q1, just like we have done. And when Q2 comes in, all you need to do is dump the Q2 file inside this folder, go to your Power BI and refresh. Once Q3 comes in, dump Q3 into this folder, go to Power BI and refresh. Okay, how you would connect would be different. How you extract your data would be a little bit different from what I showed you earlier. Okay, and these are the things you would learn in your financial analytics class to make your work more efficient. So I go back to my Q1 data, I have copied and pasted, and I'm going to save so that my Power BI can recognize what I've added. So I'll click on save to save, or Control S to save. Okay, save. Once you've saved, after copying and pasting, go back to the Power BI, click on the Home tab, and now we're going to what? Refresh. And the moment we refresh, take note of these numbers. 647 is going to change, 152 is going to change, 495 is going to change. And instead of January to March, we'll have January to June because we just added Q2. So I'm going to refresh this data, click on refresh, and let's wait for it to connect. So now we can see the target for Q1 and Q2 is about $3 million in revenue. We've done just 1 million, about $1 million. Cost is 1 million. We've done just about 365,000 in costs. And our profits target is about 2 million. We've done just about 1 million. Looking at the trend from January till June at the bottom, you can see clearly revenue increased in February, it dropped in March, increased in April, and then we had, a spike in May, and then it dropped again in June. Now, because of this spike in May, you can see the profits that we also made in the month of May. All right. Now, I can click on any of these points and it would interact with my visual. If I click on May, for example, you'd see that it would change things that I have on my visual. Okay. So it makes the visual interactive, but we can make it more interactive by adding a slicer and adding more things to the visual. But we can clearly see when presenting this, that what did we do in the month of May to give us this revenue? So I want somebody who would just like to speak about, what you can see from your own point of view, and then we call it a day right now. Okay. And we call it a day right now. Why from April? Because Q2 starts from April. Q1 is January, February, March. Q2 is April, May, June. So I needed the budget for, I already have the budget for Q1, January to March. I only needed the budget for Q2, April to June. Okay, so that was why I copied from April, if that makes sense to you. Joy, I want somebody who would love to speak. So let's hear from you. I've been the only one speaking for 1.5 hours now. So I'd love to hear from somebody else. If you would love to say something about what you can see from this particular company, let's hear what you think. Maybe what you think the company needs to do, or what you think is currently happening in this company based on what you can see. There's so many more analyses we can do, but we're just going to keep it like this for now. because of time. So who wants to go ahead? Raise your hand and I'll call you up to speak. Ifoma, you've been very active. I expected you to raise your hand. Okay, fantastic. So Ifoma, about to unmute yourself. Go ahead and speak. Let's hear from you, Ifoma.
All right. Okay, first of all, I see that in Q2, the revenue, or rather the actual, has increased from the 647,000 to 1 million now. So even though the budget has also gone up by 1 million, so it's now 3 million instead of 2 million as it was before.
Yeah.
So we're still lagging behind. It's still not hitting the target. And besides, for me, from the last quarter, I think to me they were closer to 2 million compared to now. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know, but I don't know if I'm analyzing properly. But anyways, that's what. Then for the costs, for the cost parts, the cost has also increased to 1 million budget from 600,000 that it was, and now it's 1 million, and we still haven't hit that cost as well. The cost is 365 compared to 152 that it was in the other first quarter. You understand? Then the for the profit, the budget then was 900K for the first quarter, and now is increased to 2 million.
Yeah.
It was 495, the actual 495 to, that's almost like more than half. Now it's still the same half, 1 million to 2 million, 495 to 900K, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for that, Ifoma. So what we can also do is see this.
I want to use this opportunity to ask one question, because I'm actually doing exactly what you're doing, right? I've been following you, pursuing you. But now I have a challenge. After you said we should use those data, the Q2, Q1, I did exactly that, but they're both on my downloads. And I what's it called? I refreshed, but I still have the same old budget. So I'm wondering, why is it not recognizing what I pasted into it? Is there a reason?
So what I did was, this is my Q2. Okay. So you'd see that Q2 also has what we have in Q1, January to March. But we don't need January to March. We need April to June, which is Q2, which was what I copied. I copied this from Q2. I went to my Q1, okay, went to the trading budget, and I pasted this under my Q1 trading budget. Okay, so you need to go back to your training, the Q1 training budget, and see.
I opened both of them.
You have April to June.
I did exactly what you did. I copied from April for the training budget to and I pasted it at the Q1 part, right? And I also copied from everything from the training actuals, and I pasted it under, the training actual for Q1. And I saved and I refreshed, yet
nothing happened. Okay. So what I'm going to do, Ifoma, I'm sending you my email.
I didn't save. Yeah, that's why I didn't save. So I just saved now, and I refreshed just now, and it worked.
You didn't save. Okay. So I mentioned that you have to save. If not, PowerBI would not capture the updates that you've made. You need to save. So if you have auto save on, it would save it immediately. You do that without you needing to save. But if you don't have auto save, you will have to save for it to capture. All right. So it's working now. Thanks for that, Ifoma. I think that was a pretty decent and brilliant analysis. What we can also do is, you can see that the numbers have been rounded up to 1 million. So my profits is revenue minus costs, which should be a little bit lesser than 1 million, but I still have 1 million because it's rounding it up to, the units of millions. So if I can show the actual numbers, and you'd see what the actual numbers are for both the 1 million you have here and what your profit is eventually. So how do you do that? If you want to make changes to this, if I click on this, I go to format as usual. I go to my call out value, and I want to change my units. So you can change your units to, it's currently on auto. You can use none. If I use none, it would show you the actual figure, all right, of 1.488 million. Okay, or we can use, if we use million and use maybe 2 decimal places, okay, 1.49. We can do the same here, all right? We change this to million and we use 2 decimal places, and you'd see what the profit looks like. It's a little bit clearer when you do that. And finally, any question you'd want to ask is, what happened in the month of May? What happened in the month of March? Why did we have a decline in March? Why was this drop? Why did this drop happen? And why did we have this, spike in the month of May? So that whatever we are doing here, we can double down on that and keep on improving our performance, if that makes sense. All right. Are we good, Ifeoma?
Yeah, makes absolute sense. And I can see the approximation now, because that's what you just did. That approximation we asked you earlier.
Fantastic. And when you're done, you can save. Just go to File on your Power BI, click on File, go to Save As, click on Save As, select where you want to save. If you want to save in your downloads, I'm just going to click on my downloads. All right. I click on my downloads. I go to file name here. Okay, and I'll type in a file name. So let me call this training tracker. Okay, I'll just call this a training tracker, and then I'll click on save. Okay, so when you save your Power BI file, it saves as a PBIX. So if I go to my downloads right now, you would see where you have your training tracker, which is a Power BI file. So you can save it, and this would be something you built. Like I mentioned earlier, we didn't write any single DAX. We didn't write any calculation. We didn't do anything complex. The only thing that was a little bit close to saying complex was the model, which was also very straightforward. And that's how intuitive Power BI can be. And this is the reason why Power BI is also one of the best business intelligence tools, the best BI tools in the market today, even better than Tableau. When it comes to ranking, Power BI ranks #1, followed by Tableau. And I would explain what you need to learn. What does Tableau mean? What does Power BI mean? And so on and so forth. So if you have a good understanding of Power BI as a financial analyst, you are good to go. Okay, if you've learned something exciting, you've learned something new today, type in a 1 into the charts. Just type in a 1 into the charts. If you've learned something exciting, you've learned something fantastic today, just type in a 1 into the chart. Brilliant, fantastic. Okay, so these are part of the things that you will do as a financial analyst. But then a lot of people always ask, how do I start? What do I need to learn? So I'm going to take the next 30 minutes to walk you through very quickly what you need to do and how you need to learn as a financial analyst. The very first thing is, as a financial analyst, your career path is very, very high in demand. Okay, and we always show this using the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs reports. This report, I've kept the link for you guys as usual. You can always go here, download it into your computers and read page 30. Page 30 is the page you want to read. You have the growing jobs, jobs that will grow in demand and jobs that will decline. So when it comes to financial analytics, is this a career path that will grow in demand over the next 5 years or decline? You want to dive into a career path that would grow. A lot of people make this mistake, making changes, transitioning into new areas, but they don't do it from an informed, place. And they find themselves in a career path that would likely decline in the next few years and you start to struggle eventually. So if you look at the growing jobs and the declining jobs, you would see that financial analysts, are professionals that will have growth and increase in demand over the next few years. All right. And we have minted so many financial analysts across different areas. And I'm just going to highlight some of them to you. This is Chika. Chika joined our financial analytics program sometime last year around August 2023, completed his program around September 2023, and he landed his first job as a financial analyst in October, just a month after completing his training. He was a master's student in the UK. He knew very quickly that he needed more skills than what his master's program was going to give to him. So he joined our financial analytics program, and today he's a financial analyst within the space in the UK. You have Solomon, who is an engineering graduate as well. Solomon, fresh out of the university, needed to get a job, joined us in our financial analytics program, and today he currently works with Kegos Group, an oil and gas company based in Nigeria. You also have Akintayo, one of the recently minted financial analysts. Akintayo got a job as a CFO in one of the in the educational sector in Nigeria. Now, Akintayo's role was super amazing, and we prepared Akintayo, Nene to be specific. Nene is one of the financial analytics facilitators, the experts, subject matter experts that would be one of your trainers during the program. She worked with him during his interview, and Akintayo was able to secure the job as a CFO. Now, part of the things that would help you get a job goes beyond just the technical skill. And I'll share the technical skills with you. But there's something I want to also point out very quickly, and I'll take you to Chika's profile on LinkedIn. All right, we're going to listen to either Chika or Solomon. I've kept the links as well for you to listen to them, hear from them. But let's go to Chika's profile. I want to show you something very important. All right, I want to show you how people that join us. So let's go to Chika Unogu. So when you want to get a job or you think of transitioning, you have all the skills in the world. You're the best in Power BI, you're the best in Excel. That will just get you halfway to getting the job. You need more than that to become a professional across the globe. So let's go to Chika. Okay, let's go to Chika's profile. And one of the first things you'd see is you both worked at Tenalytics. Very important. Now, what does this mean? It means that Chika would be positioning himself as somebody who has done all the things he said he has done on his CV, and he currently works in that role. And this gives recruiters that bird's eye view that, okay, if he's doing this, he's on this current role with Tenalytics, then it means that he really has the skills to get the job done. Okay, so you'd see Chika's experience with us. He joined us in May, all right, 2023, completed his program in October as a senior FP&A consultant, senior financial planning and analysis consultant. So Chika did not position himself as a trainee. He did not position himself as a learner, because the moment you do this, recruiters would, not look your way. They would see you as somebody who is new, somebody who is just doing it for the very first time. But Chika positioned himself as a senior financial planning and analysis professional. Started in May, completed in October, and that was the same month, October, he got the job working with the Phoenix Group in the UK. We prepared him for his interviews, and it would be lovely for you to listen to Chika. Okay, Chika's video is about 5 minutes. If we have time towards the end of the session, I'm going to play Chika's video for you, so you would listen to what Chika has to say about how he was able to transition and the role that Tenalytics played, in helping him make that transition from the classroom to getting his first job. You have Grace as well, fantastic professional. You have Bumi, who got a job as a market data analyst. So the fact that you studied financial analytics doesn't mean that the only type of job you can apply to and get is a financial analyst role. You can get a job as a market data analyst, as a market analyst, as a financial planning and analysis professional, and so on and so forth. And these are professionals. We have Victor, who got a job as a financial analyst with Nicole Finance after completing our financial analytics program. You have Afolabi, who got a job as a financial analyst after completing our financial analytics program, and so many more people within the same space. And I've also kept a link for you to access and listen to these professionals and learn one or two things from them. And people would always ask, do I start? What do I learn? Adeza, you've only showed me Power BI. What else? What other tool do I need to know, or do I need to have in my toolkit for me to get started? Number one is Power BI that I've shown you, but there are other tools that you need to get under your belt. So how do we start? As a financial analyst, you are a professional who takes financial data. You are the custodian of financial data in that company, and you are helping the company, guiding the company to take investment decisions. You are monitoring the performance of the organization to say that this is where we are doing well, this is where we are not doing well, and these are the implications financially, to the company if we keep up at this particular trajectory. So a financial analyst is that professional who analyzes financial data to guide investment decisions, to evaluate the company's performance, and to also forecast the financial trends in the company. Okay, so that's who the financial analyst is. You are a data analyst, but your focus is not on all the types of data, but is focused on the financial records within the company. So what are those tools, or what are those skills you need to gain or you need to learn to transition? And I'm going to share that right away with you. One of the first things you need to learn as a financial analyst is problem solving, because you are going to solve a lot of problems. You'd work with a lot of data, and anybody who works with data knows that before I dive into the data, I need to understand where the problem is. I need to know if I have the data to solve the problem. I need to know the type of tool I need to use to solve the problem. And these are the things you learn on that problem solving. How do I break problems into smaller parts, multiple parts, and so on? Then you learn Excel for data analytics. And then you move into Power BI, which is, we've just scratched the surface on Power BI today. And then you learn SQL. So these four skills, SQL is structured query language, which is the language you use to interact with databases. Organizations would have their data in a database. How do you get that data? How do you analyze the data? You do that using SQL. So from number 1 to number 4, these are data skills. All right? These are data skills. Any data analyst would have the similar skills. Problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. Then you move to the core financial aspect of the program, which is accounting fundamentals, which is the language of business. You need to understand accounting. You need to understand the fundamentals of what drives different financial records in the organization. You would learn financial analysis, doing different financial ratios to measure performance. You learn financial modeling, how to model the performance of an organization, either an organization that currently exists or a startup that is just coming up. What's the best case scenario? What's the base case? And what's the worst case scenario? And so on and so forth. You'd also learn valuation, which is the corporate finance aspect of financial analysis. All right, how to value businesses, leveraging different types of business structures, and so on and so forth. Sensitivity and scenario analysis, and of course, ChatGPT for analytics. And this is simply using AI, leveraging AI to do all the things that we need to do. All the things I did today, let me show you something. I can tell ChatGPT to tell me how to do them. Okay, and I'm just going to do that very, very quickly. Just give me 2 seconds. And I'll open up my ChatGPT and I'll show you how you can leverage ChatGPT for somebody who already has experience using Power BI. And this is the beauty of ChatGPT today. You have 2 types of ChatGPT, the free version and the paid version. The paid version is 4, which is what I use. You can also use the free version to pretty much do all the things that you want to do. Okay, so if you are using the free version, let me change to the free version, okay, to 3.5. Okay, so I'm just going to change to 3.5. Now, you have that same data set, the same one I worked with. Okay, I'm simply just going to copy. Let me copy this. Let me copy this. Okay, Control C. Maybe the first 10 rows, and I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll paste it. Before I paste, I'll say, I want you to act as the financial analyst. Okay. I want you to act as a financial analyst and help me come up with solutions to the questions I will be sending to you. Wait for me to ask the questions. Okay, and then I send it to ChatGPT. Of course, ChatGPT is always ready to help. Of course, I'm ready when you are. So let's send the first question. I want ChatGPT to write the calculation that I need in Power BI to calculate my total actual revenue and my actual cost, okay, or an actual profit. So I have this data set and I want you to provide the DAX expressions in Power BI to calculate 1, the total actual revenue, 2, the total actual costs, 3, the total actual profits. Okay, and then I go down, open 2 quotes, and I paste my data. Remember, I copied the data before. So this is the actual, yes. So I've told ChatGPT to act as a financial analyst. I'm going to provide and ask questions. And this is what I've said ChatGPT to do. So let me send this and let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. Okay, so total actual revenue, let's wait and see. Total actual costs, total actual profits. So you see what ChatGPT has done for me. I can simply copy this. So it's saying that to calculate the actual revenue, total actual cost, total actual profit in Power BI, you can use DAX expressions along with the data you provided. Here are the expressions for each calculation. It has given me this. This is for the actual revenue, okay? I can just simply copy the code. And I just want to show you quickly. I'm going to open up my Power BI tracker again, what I created, and you'd see how this works. So working with ChatGPT today, being a financial analyst in today's world is the best thing you can ever dream of. Okay, is the best thing you can ever dream of because your work is a lot more seamless and can be a lot easier by leveraging ChatGPT. So let me wait for my Power BI to come up. And then I'll take what ChatGPT has given to me. I'm not going to make any modification, and you'll see that it works perfectly. Okay, this is taking quite a while to load. I'm just still going to wait. Okay, it's coming up. So let's assume the same calculations I carried out. I want to actually write my calculations because I told you that we can create those calculations ourselves. especially when we want to do things that are a lot more complex. So let's calculate the total. Let's see what ChatGPT gave to us again. Total actual revenue equals sum of this, that, your table name. So I'm just simply going to enter my table name. But let me give ChatGPT my table name, okay? What's my table name? My table name is training actuals. So I'll tell ChatGPT, rewrite the DAX expressions for me. My table name is, put it in between quotes, training actuals. All right, let's see if ChatGPT writes it again. So you can see it writes the same quotes. It wrote the same quotes for me again, the same codes using training actuals as my table name. Initially, it kept a placeholder to say your table name, but I gave ChatGPT my table name and it's, captured it for me. So let me copy the code. I'll go back to Power BI. I'll right click on my training actuals and I'll click on new measure. When you want to write a calculation, a measure, a DAX expression, you click on new measure. So right click on training actuals, click on new measure. Okay. So this is where I was thinking of what to write myself, but I don't want to think. ChatGPT has thought for me already. So I'll take out what I have here and I'll just paste what ChatGPT gave me, Control V. That's all. I'm just simply going to paste. This is exactly what ChatGPT gave to me, and I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and it creates my total actual revenue. Can you see that right there? That's the calculation that I need. I can replace this actual, whatever I have here, my actual revenue, I can take this out and I can replace it with the calculation I just created. And I pretty much have the same results. Okay, so we can create our calculations ourselves. Power BI can do it automatically. But where Power BI doing it automatically becomes a little bit difficult for you is when you want to do more complex analysis. Okay, you are doing something straightforward, very simple. Using what Power BI has done is good. However, if you want to do a lot more complex analysis, you want to create your calculations yourself. And you can see every single, I want to do the costs, Power BI has given it to me. And there are so many other things Power BI can even give. I can ask questions, give me insights from these data sets, and ChatGPT would give those insights to me. And that's the beauty of being a financial analyst in 2024. You have the opportunity to maximize your learning, maximize your outcome, and you're more efficient and more effective because of the advent of AI. And these are the skills you need to get into financial analytics. And how long does it take for you to transition into the space? 4 months, 3 months in class, and 1 month internship. The internship is designed for you to build projects and create a portfolio. And I'll showcase one portfolio to you. And I've also kept the link for you to interact with it as well. Your classes are on Saturdays. Your live classes, where you have a live trainer like myself, is on Saturdays, while on Sundays are self-paced, watch me do it videos, where you get bite-sized videos created by us. You watch those videos, understand the concepts, and then you come to class on a Saturday to work on real-world projects. Okay? For those in the UK, for those in Nigeria, similar time zones, you have a class 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. For those in the US and Canada, similar time zones, you have a class from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So the Mountain Standard Time is for the Alberta region. Okay, Ontario, I think, is about 2 hours, ahead. So you just simply calculate that. So it doesn't matter where you are, you have a class that fits your time zone. Okay, and this is the beauty, the demand for financial analysts is super, super high. And without the financial analyst in the organization, you would not know where to invest. You would not understand the financial health of the company. You would also not know how to structure the organization. And the financial analyst also commands phenomenal, fantastic salaries across major economies. Looking at the UK, Canada, and the US, for example, you have average per annum of about £51,000. In Canada, about 70,000 Canadian dollars, and in the US, about 86,000 US dollars on the average. Now, what does a portfolio look like? And I need to show you this very quickly. A portfolio, I'm going to show you the portfolio for one of our participants called Abdul Kawi. Abdul Kawi joined the financial analytics program, and your portfolio is what showcases and what shows every recruiter. You're going to have the link of your portfolio on your CV, and every recruiter can see the type of analysis you've done. So this is Abdul Kawi's financial projects. This is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Equity Reports, one of the projects that he worked on while he was in the program. You have the Netflix research reports. You have employees analytics reports for Smith Corporations. Let's look at the Netflix. This is where the project show, is an equity report research on Netflix. But let's look at it and see the type of projects you're going to work on when you join us at Analytics. So this is Netflix, okay, battling to survive increased competition in the market. Okay, so you as a financial analyst will do your research on Netflix and create a report that looks like this, all right? The story of Netflix, their sales, and so many other things with regards to how Netflix can restructure what they have done and what keeps them competitive. And this is just one of the type of projects you're going to have in your portfolio. So anybody who sees this knows clearly that you have the experience to do the amazing stuff you say you can do. Another project called the Safe Foods Corporation's 5-year discounted DCF model. Let's click on that to see what the model also looks like. This is also Abdul Kawi's project, all right? So you can see Safe Foods. He created his financial model, 5 years financial model, the base case. You can see all the things he's done in Excel and so on. It's a fully fledged document, and anybody who has a look at this would clearly see that Abdul Kawi is really not a beginner. He's somebody who has great experience working on these type of projects, okay? And you can interact with all the different, projects that you would get to work with looking at Abdul Kawi's portfolio. So this is what a portfolio looks like, where you warehouse the work you have done. And this shows recruiters that, yes, we need to have a conversation with this professional, okay? And as a financial analyst, like I mentioned earlier, you don't just apply to financial analyst roles. You saw Chika positioning himself as an FP&A analyst, financial planning and analysis. This is a very interesting role that's, is very popular today, most especially in Canada and in the UK. Also, the commercial analyst role. And this is a role that is also very, very, high in demand today. And organizations are looking to hire FP&As, commercial analysts. You can get jobs as a market analyst, and even as a data analyst as well, because you have the data analytics skills in problem solving, Excel, Power BI, and SQL. But how do we help you to land these jobs? Because like I said, 50% are your technical. The other 50% are your employability skills. Okay? And this is where your CV comes in. So we work with you on your CV, ensure you have a top-notch CV that is competitive and paints you in the very best light possible, because your CV is your representation in paper format. So you need a CV that would attract the best of the best organizations across the globe. Your LinkedIn as well. how you position yourself, the type of keywords you have on your LinkedIn profile. So when a recruiter searches for a financial analyst, a commercial analyst, your name would also pop up. All right. So we help you optimize your LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we work with you to create one. You have an Upwork profile. If you don't have one, we work with you to create one. If you already have one, we help you optimize. And Upwork is simply a platform where you can apply to jobs, get into work as a freelancer for companies across the globe. We also hold sessions on how to navigate the job markets. And this is where you as a professional understands the opportunities available in different locations where you are. You want to get a job remotely working from Nigeria. You want to get a job remotely working from Canada, getting a job in the US, and so on and so forth. We talk about those type of opportunities during navigating the job markets. Now you have a fantastic CV, brilliant optimized LinkedIn profile. You start to get interviews. How do you prepare for your interviews? And that's where our job and interview preparation sessions comes in. I'll show you the classroom and how to schedule your interview sessions. Okay, so we prepare you, ensure that you say the right things when you get into the room. And when you have an interview, it's a 50-50 chance for you to get that job because they've seen something about you that they like. The next level is for you to just impress them, sound confident going into that room and getting that job. You want to be so confident that you should leave them with the impression that there is nobody else in this world that will do the job better than you. All right. Recommendation and references. And this is where we help you write references. When you've gotten an offer, companies would want you to provide 2 references, 3 references. Where have you worked before? And this is where you also get to leverage Analytics. Like I always tell people, every participant at Analytics is a contractor. Okay, the same skills you have, the same skills you're going to learn are the same skills people on the job are using. And I can bet you, take it to the bank, some of the skills you have, even experienced professionals don't have those skills. So you must have somebody you can leverage to say, I've done this before with Analytics. You can reach out to them. They can vouch for my skills. So we write those references for you, and also recommendation letters and so on and so forth. The second level is your weekly mentorship, which happens every Thursday evenings. You have myself, the co-founder, other industry experts. We bring them together and we work with you to help you answer questions and navigate the space to help you land your very first job as a financial analyst. And once you get the job, and you have a particular project that seems a bit difficult, you've not seen that type of, you've not worked on that type of project before, you also have Analytics to fall back on. And we work with you on the job to help you surmount that challenge. And our final promise to you is a guaranteed interview 1 month after you complete your training with us. All right. And this is a guarantee from us. Okay. So these are the most important skills. The extra, we call it the additional 50%. Most people have the technical skill, but that's not enough to get a job because there are 1,000,001 people that can use Power BI. 1,000,001 people that know Excel, they know accounting fundamentals, they can build financial models. But how do you represent yourself when you get into the room? How do you leave an impression when you eventually leave that room? And that's what eventually gets you the job. Okay. Now I'm going to take you into the classroom very quickly and walk you through how you'll be learning, how you would learn with us. Very, very important. So what would your classroom look like? What would your classroom look like? And how, when we say project-based learning, what does it really mean? And let me walk you through that very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to take you to this is the financial analytics class that started in April. You'll see that 2404 April 2024. And one of the first things you'd see are your employability resources. You have the link for you to book a session. So you have an interview. All you need to do is come in here, click on the link. You book an interview with one of our professionals and select your date, select the time. Somebody will jump on the call to work with you. You have a job application tracker that you will use to record your applications. And we at the back end can also see what you're applying to. And once we see that you've applied to 15 jobs and you haven't gotten a positive outcome in the form of an interview invite, we reach out to you and work with you to help you re-strategize. Once you are done with your LinkedIn optimization, we provide you with these documents that shows you how to write your role and job description as a financial analyst on LinkedIn and the different types of jobs you can apply to as a financial analyst as well. So you have these keywords on your LinkedIn summary and you have them as part of the work you've done. And this gives recruiters that when they search for you, you come up and your profile pops up as one of the professionals in that space. You also have a CV that we provide after your CV review session. This is a standard financial analyst CV that you will use to apply. And because you now know how to tailor your CV to job descriptions, you work with these templates and keep on modifying when applying to jobs. Okay. And of course, we also have something we call the consistency. Charity, don't worry, I'll take all the questions again. All right. I'll take your questions when I'm done with this. So we have the 90 days of consistency, which is when you join, your classes are going to be for 3 months, your live classes. So you have 90 days of consistency, and this is to keep everybody in track. So every single thing you are learning on a day-to-day, you are documenting it and you are learning in public. Okay, very important. All right. Now you see that the portfolio I showed you just now. This is Abdulkawi's portfolio, correct? These are the videos you will use to build your portfolio, creating your website portfolio. Once you watch these 4 videos, it's a 4-step video, you watch them, you will also create your own portfolio. But let's go to the very first beginning of this class because this class just started. And the very first thing you do as a financial analyst is to understand problem-solving techniques. For this particular class, you'd see me in class. Okay, you look at the class material and I took this particular class on problem-solving, and we start with what is data. So we don't dive into complexities on day one. We start from the nitty-gritty and we build you up from there. Okay, what is data, types of data, qualitative, quantitative, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then you have an assignment. We give you an assignment to keep you engaged and so on. And then you have your very first Excel watch me do it, the Sunday where you don't have a live class. You watch your watch me do it videos, understand some beginner concepts in Excel. And then you come to class on your first Excel live class to practicalize all the things you have watched in the video with a real live trainer. So you can ask questions real time and so on and so forth. Okay. And if you look at the class material, it is always case study based. Okay. And this is your class facilitator. And your very first case is what? You have been hired as a data analyst in one of the largest medical centers in North America with about 10,000 staff. Okay. Your task is to highlight those branches that fall below the 10% threshold to make them easier to spot before further analysis. Okay. So you have patients, you have number of patients in that hospital that you have 10% of the patients who visit, less than 10%, and you want to highlight those branches that have less than 10%. And you want to do that using Excel. Okay. So all your projects are what? All your classes are project-based, meaning that you take real life experience of our facilitators, of our experts, and you work on those projects. This is you using Excel in a way that you solve problems for the company rather than learning Excel as a tool. You are learning Excel to solve problems, not to just learn Excel as a tool. And you have different cases you're also going to work on where you'd help the HR team in an organization to clean up their data and so on and so forth. Okay. And for anybody who misses this class, every single class is recorded, just like this session is recorded, and everybody's asking for the recording. So you have the class recording. All you have to do is click on the link. You can see Priscilla's face. Priscilla is the class coordinator. Priscilla is also on the call with us right now. So you click on the link, it takes you to the class link. You play and you watch everything that happened in class. Okay, you get to see everything that happened in class. So if you miss this class, you can always come back, rewatch it, do all the things you missed. And if you have questions, you have a WhatsApp group. You can ask questions in your WhatsApp group. And if you need additional help, this is where we have something we call the drop-in session. So the drop-in sessions are designed for people who need extra help. And you don't need that help by somebody sending you a message. You want somebody to jump on a call and look at the problem you have and solve that problem for you. Okay, so this is pretty much what your classes would look like. And your internship, I'm just going to show you that very quickly, and then we'll wrap up with questions and how much the program costs. This is the internship for, let me move, internship for those, the internship that started in March. So your internship, your very first project, you have an onboarding session where you're welcomed into the internship. And then you have your very first project. Your project is you working with a startup. The startup company is a company within the beauty and skincare industry. You are trying to help them, understand the products. They want to launch new products and they also want to secure funding. All right. So you would help them build a model. You develop a financial model that would help the company to forecast its revenue, expenses, cash flows over the next 5 years. And this company would use this to do what? To pitch and to get funding as a startup. Okay, so this is one of the 4 projects that you're going to work on during your internship with us. And we have weekly meetings where you also get to meet with me, share your ideas, and I'll tell you and guide you on what you need to do based on the challenges you have or questions that you have, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is what the internship looks like. All right, you have a presentation guide on how to create your presentation documents. And you have a very fantastic introduction. Okay, I'm going to drop the link of the introduction to the internship on my slide so that you can always go back and look at that. And a lot of people have been sending me messages asking, oh, Adeza, how much does it take for me to get into the program? And just before I show you that, we are going to work with the best of the best in the industry. Nene is one of our facilitators. Nene has worked with KPMG while she was in Nigeria. She's worked with the Bank of America. She currently works with Zelos, and Zelos is one of the authorized licensee of Nike in the United Kingdom, in the UK. And Nene works with them as a senior financial planning and analysis professional. Nene is going to be one of your facilitators. You also have Teniola. Teniola works in the UK as well with one of the big fours as one of the big fours and as an assistant manager in digital consulting with one of the big fours in the UK. All right. She has over 5 years experience, and she's also going to be one of your trainers in the program. You have James Jenas. Jenas is also an assistant manager working with Coca-Cola. He's been a management consultant, and he has over 7 years of experience as well. And Jenas is also going to be one of the facilitators. And lastly, you have Oladapo. Oladapo is he works with Deloitte in Bermuda. Deloitte, one of the big fours. He's currently a senior consultant in internal audits. He has so many experience in risk management, and he's also trained well over 1,800 people across different areas. And Oladapo is also going to be one of your facilitators, especially with Excel. All right. Our next cohort is on the 4th of May, 2024. And you stand the unique opportunity of being a part of this cohort. The discount, we have a discount for the first 30 people. Unfortunately, the discount we currently, out of 30 slots, we currently have just about 18 slots left for this particular program out of 30. And for you to be part of those to take advantage of the discounts, you should fall within the first 18 people to register. The discounted slot was for about 30 people last week, but we've had over 12 register already, and we have just 18 slots left for those who want to take advantage of the discount. And what does the discount look like? If you're paying in dollars, instead of paying $750, you get to pay just $500. And this cuts across you also having the opportunity to make the payment in 2 installments of $350 to get into class, get your class started on the 4th of May, and you also pay the balance of $150 a month after the program commences. And if you're paying in pounds, instead of paying 625 pounds, you get to pay just 425. It's a 33% discount, all right? Just for the first 18 people, because the discounted slot is almost gone as we speak. So you have an initial deposit of 300 pounds and then 125 pounds a month into the program. And if you're paying in euros, instead of 730, you get to pay 475, 350, and 125. If you're paying in Canadian dollars, instead of paying 1,125, you get to pay 750, 500 first installment, 250 second installment. And finally, if you're paying in Naira, you get to pay, instead of paying 900,000, you get to pay just 600, 400,000 first installment, 200,000 second installment. And the first installments must be paid on or before the 30th of April, 2024, which is on Tuesday in the coming week. And the second installment is paid on or before the 30th of May, 2024. And how do you make payments for those who are interested in going ahead to start their journey in financial analytics? All you need to do is click on this link, which will be made available to everybody. And this takes you into the enrollment center. All right. And all you have to do is scroll all the way down. You have access to the brochures. If you want to look at the nitty-gritty of the program, you can get it from here. And you can also go all the way down to do a direct transfer. For those who want to do the direct transfer, you can pay in pounds, US dollars, Canadian, euros, or do a direct transfer to our Naira bank account. Or you can pay using your card, your debit or credit card. All you have to do is scroll to where you have financial analytics, click on that, and it takes you into the enrollment center. Okay. All I need to do, pay my first installment. If I'm paying in pounds, and you'd see the respective currency, based on where you currently reside. So if you're in Canada, you get Canadian dollars. If you're in the US, you get US dollars, and so on. All right. I'm just simply going to type in 300, which is the first installment. Click on reserve a seat. Once you click on reserve a seat, enter your full name. Okay. Enter your full name and enter your email. Once you enter your full name, enter your email, click on pay with card, then enter your card details and confirm payment. The moment you confirm payment, you will receive an automated receipt into the email you have provided. All right. And that email would also have a link for you to register and provide additional details to us. Okay. So if you make payments using your card, all that is done automatically. Your receipt is gotten automatically. You receive the link to also register automatically. However, if you make payments doing a direct transfer, you want to take a screenshot for the proof of payment and then come back here, click on what? Upload your receipts. And once you click on upload your receipts, it brings you into this form. And this is the form. The link to this form will be provided automatically to those who pay with their card. But if you've done a direct transfer, you need to go back there, click on upload your receipts, and then enter your details. Okay. Now, for some people, May is a very busy month for you. You have 1 or 2 commitments and you want to defer your class to start in June or start in July. Once you have secured your discounted slots, all you have to do when filling this form, all right, you enter your email, click on next, enter all the details. Okay, I have entered them before. That's why you have it saved already. So you enter the details, type of payments, click on next. Click on next. Okay, you'll see the registration details, your first name, your surname, and so on, your gender. Click on next. Terms and conditions. Click on next. When did you make payments? Upload your proof of payments. How did you make payments? Was it the main stack? Was it a direct transfer? So let's assume it was a direct transfer to our Wise account details. You click on next. Okay, the account name that you use to make payments, because you have instances where a brother or a sister could pay for their siblings. Okay, so you enter the account name you use to make payments, click on next. All right, you select the program, financial analytics. Okay, click on next. Now, this is where you select when you want to start. If you want to start on the 4th of May, which is the very next cohort we have coming up next weekend, you click on 4th of May. If your May is busy, you have commitments, you want to start in June, you start on the 8th of June. Now, if June is also busy, you have the opportunity to start in July, 6th of July. And all you need to do is select it here, and we will get that information and schedule you for the upcoming cohorts. Okay, and once you submit this form, we receive all the details that you have entered and we prepare you for the class ahead. Once you've gotten your details, we send you a welcome kit. The welcome kit contains all the applications that you need, how to download, how to install, and so on and so forth. So let me show you, for the person asking for Mac, it's all in the classroom. So if you go to the classroom I showed you earlier, you go scroll all the way down to your onboarding materials. You would see how to download and install Microsoft's, how to download and install Power BI on Mac. Okay, so the Mac users, you have a video on how to do this. All right, so it doesn't matter the operating system, if it's a Mac, if it's a Windows PC. So the welcome kit contains all of that for you. And it also has your learning plan and your learning timeline. Okay. Somebody asked the question the other time that I go back to the timing for the classes. So I'll go back there one more time, and then I would love to take questions. So if you have questions, please feel free and ask your questions. Okay, you can type your questions in the chat, or you can simply raise your hand and I'll call you up to speak. Okay, Charity has a question. Charity, I'll be right with you. Please, do we have a class for June? I think I just shared that. Yes, we have a class in June. On the 8th of June, we have another class, 6th of July. We have classes from now till the end of the year. The only difference is the discount. The discount is not available in June, is not available in July. In the month of March, we had the IWD discount, okay, which was a 50% discount, and a lot of people missed out on that. All right. If you missed out on the IWD discounts, let me show you this. So we had the IWD discount. It was a 50% discount in the month of March, and almost 400 people took advantage of that discount. Okay, so if you missed the discount in March, we have another amazing opportunity for you, which is a 33% discount for the month of April. Okay, you don't want to miss out on this. Okay, so take advantage and be part of the people getting their journey started. I'm in the UK and I'm only available for the evening sessions. That's not a problem at all. If you see what I have on my slide, let me just share that with you. So if you look at what I have on the slide, you have classes for different regions, okay? Now, if you are busy in the morning, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., West African timing and the UK timing currently are the same, okay? So if you are busy in the morning, you can join the class in the evening for the US, Canada guys, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West Africa time, which is also 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So you can select the class that fits your time zone. So if you're in the UK, it's either you're joining the class at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It all depends on what fits your schedule. You don't need any background in finance. You don't need any background in accounting. And that's where we teach you all the things that you need to learn. You have accounting fundamentals. And that's the reason why we go back to the nitty-gritty of accounting fundamentals and financial analysis before you move into areas on financial modeling and the rest. Okay, so let me take Precious, sorry, I think I just answered Precious' question. If you need any background, all our programs are beginner friendly. And that's why you see that your first class is not on anything complex. Your first class is on what? What is data? What is data analytics? Types of data analytics. What is a problem? The different problem solving techniques and the frameworks, 5 of them. We look at that and so on and so forth, okay? You don't start from doing complex stuff and you don't need any experience. If you remember, I showed you somebody who, Solomon is an engineering graduate. He has never worked before. He just, fresh out of the university in engineering. And today he's a financial analyst with an oil and gas company. All right, in Nigeria. When is your one-on-one session before we register? So we're going to have only the final one-on-one session on Tuesday. All right, Sonny, the final one-on-one session is on Tuesday. So and that's the day registration closes. So if you miss that, then you're likely going to miss out on registering. All right, so look out for the invites. And if you want to join the one-on-one session, the final one is on Tuesday, which is the one-on-one, where you can ask questions you want to ask and so on. But if you miss that on Tuesday, registration also closes on Tuesday, the 30th. So if you miss it, you'll likely miss the registration, miss the discounts, and so on. What's the difference between the data analyst and the financial analyst? Ifoma is asking. The difference is on the type of data that they focus on. The data analyst can work with customer data, can work with sales data, can work with project data, and different types of data sets. The financial analyst, on the other hand, focuses on only what? Financial data. So you are the experts when it comes to financial analysis, financial modeling, taking the financial records, analyzing, coming up with insights, and advising the company on what next to do by providing recommendations. The data analysts would work with so many other different types of data that the financial analyst might not focus on. So the data analyst is more general, the financial analyst is more niched or focused. So if you give the data analyst financial data, you give the financial analyst financial data, the financial analyst would have a better understanding in terms of analysis and insights using that data compared to the data analysts. In terms of the skills you have the same skills as a data analyst and as a financial analyst. The difference is just in the type of data that you work with. Okay, so Charity, go ahead and let's hear from you. I've asked you to unmute yourself. Ask a question.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. The first one is the classroom environment that you showed us and the extra support that you get, the employability support. When you are enrolled in the class, I assume you have access to all these resources and the classroom environment. Do you still have access to the classroom environment after you finish the program, like after the 4 months period? Is there like a number of months that you still have access to it before your access is restricted? And in terms of employability, in the event that you are not able to get a job during the 4 months period that you're running the course, how are you supported afterwards? Is there like a time frame within which you'll be supported to get a job, like in terms of prepping you for interviews and all those other employability specs as an add-on? Then you said something about WDI discounts. Is it a different kind of program? And then my last question is, you made mention of having 18 slots left in the discount. How will you know if the slot is exhausted at the time of payment, especially if you are paying via a transfer, if you are doing a wire transfer? How will you know if the 18 slots available are still available, or if it's sold out, if the discount, if the amount of people that you need for that can meet the discount is exhausted? So those are my questions.
All right, fantastic questions. So you have lifetime access to the classroom. All right, even when you're done, you still be a part of the classroom, and you join another community we call the Tenalytics alumni community. The alumni community is on LinkedIn, and we also share and we design specific programs for them as well, for all our alumni. Again, you have lifetime access. So if getting a job takes a year, for somebody, or takes 6 months or 7 months, it really doesn't matter. All you need to do is still go to the classroom, and you have access to all the things that you have in the classroom. Okay, so if I just show you very quickly, if I scroll all the way down, you would see this is September 2023. Scroll all the way down, February, I beg your pardon, July 2023, July 2023, financial analytics. And if you keep on going down, you'd see May and so on. So all the classrooms are open and they're available to you. You can go back, watch your recordings, you have access to your materials, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that addresses your first question. The second one on the IWD, that's a discount we had in March, International Women's Day discount, but that's over already. Okay, that's ended on the 31st of March. All right, and I was telling people, when it comes to discounts, because we had a lot of people coming back to say, oh, I hope the discount is still available. Unfortunately, that discount is gone. It was a discount we had, or a scholarship we had, to get more women into tech in the month of March. Okay, we wanted to get in 300 women, 50 men. Eventually, we had about 402 people that took advantage of the scholarship in the month of March. So, but that's over already. The IWD is simply just a scholarship we had in the month of March for the International Women's Day. Now, your third question was, can you remind me, Charity? I couldn't write it down before you finished. What was the third question? Priscilla, do you remember Charity's third question? You want to? I've asked you to unmute yourself. Okay, yes, I remember now. How do you know if the slots are gone? My advice to you, Charity, is if you've done
I was trying to unmute myself.
No problem. If you've done a wire transfer, take a screenshot and upload it. Okay, if your wire transfer takes 2 days to arrive or 3 days, we know you've made payments already and you will still get the discounts. All right. My advice to you is the discount window is between now and on Tuesday, the 30th. Try to make payments between now and the 30th. If you can do that, I can guarantee you that you would be one of the people to get the discount. Okay, so that'll be my advice to you, Charity. Right. I hope I answered all the questions you asked. All right. So you have lifetime access to the classroom. Come in here anytime. You have access to the classroom. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Let me see. Priscilla is saying, okay, Kingsley is saying my welcome kit does not have. You do have it. Like I showed you earlier, Kingsley, when you join your classroom, you'd see the welcome to, depending on the program you have registered for. All right. When you're onboarded, which is likely going to be on the 30th, on Tuesday, okay, you will get into the classroom and have this, the onboarding materials. We call it the onboarding materials, your welcome kit, the Analytics terms and conditions, how to navigate the classroom. You'd also have how to save your Watch Me Do It videos to watch it offline. All right. How to download and install Microsoft Excel, how to download Power BI on Windows, how to download Power BI on Mac, and also how to download and install PostgreSQL. Okay, so you will get this in your classroom as part of your welcome, package. I hope I answered the question. Okay, all right, brilliant, Kingsley. Charity is also asking the access. Okay, I think I answered that already. Access to employability preps. So you have that like, real time. Somebody yesterday who joined us in May 2023, she has an interview for a job she's applied to for provincial nomination in Canada. She joined us in May and she scheduled an interview. She's having that interview preparation tomorrow because submission is on Tuesday, if I'm correct, is on Tuesday. Okay, so it doesn't matter when you've joined, as long as you have an interview, we work with you to prepare you for that interview. Let me see if we have more questions while we wrap up our session today. After the training, the professional exam certification is expected to position us. Yes. So Sonny, you have, okay, Ifom, I think I answered that question. Okay, I just want to be sure I didn't miss out on any question. After the training, what professional exam? So you don't need to take any professional exam really to get a job. Now, for those of you who are accountants or who are in finance already and you've completed the program, I'm sure you would have had maybe ACA or ACCA depending on, your location or your region. All right. For some of you in Canada who wants to work in certain type of roles, and all you can do is if you search for these roles, financial analyst, commercial analyst, market analyst, and the rest, and you see the requirements. For some roles, they might, and it's usually not a requirement, it is more of a preferred or advantage. All right, if you have it, fine. If you don't, it doesn't really matter. They might ask for ACA or ACCA and the rest, but it is not compulsory for you to have that. Okay, apart from Akintayo, who got a job as a CFO, all the other people, Chika had no certification at the point when he got the job. Solomon also had no experience, had no certification. He was fresh out of the university and he landed the job. For Chika, I don't think he had when he got the job. Okay, so that's not the focus for you. Like I always tell people, remember this, it is always competence over credentials. Okay, write it somewhere, stick it on your wall. in your office, in your home, or stick it on your wall in your room. Competence over credentials. All right. Every recruiter across the globe wants to see what you bring to the table. Show me your skills and experience, and then I'll determine if you fit into the role or not. Nobody's going to ask you if you have any certification and so on and so forth. The focus for them is, what do you bring to the table in terms of your skills? And that's what you want to focus on, your competence, rather than a paper certification. Okay, I hope I answered that question. You didn't answer my question on the tenure for employability support. It's lifetime, like I said, lifetime. You have lifetime support. I'll show you a lady. I don't know if I have her on my slide. She joined us in 2022. And we prepared her for an interview over a year after. Let me just check if I have her on my slide. I'm not sure I do. I'm not sure I have her on my slide anymore. All right. So you have lifetime support from us. Okay. As long as you are one of our alumnus, you've completed our training, you are an alumni, you will have access to all our support. Okay. I'm not sure I have her anymore. No, I don't. Okay. I was trying to look for somebody who had been with us since 2022. She was on a particular role. She left that role, applied to another role, and still needed interview support. And we worked with her, because once we work with you, you get a job. We can put you on, we can showcase you and show people that, look, Ramat, who got a job as a business analyst, was able to do this because we prepared her for her interview. She was a customer service representative in the UK. She joined our program as a business analyst. We worked with her, and today she works as a business analyst with the NHS in the UK on full visa sponsorship. All right, so those are the type of stories, and those are the type of success stories that would encourage other people to take the next step. All right, so you have full support from us as long as you're part of our community. Sonny's asking, please, the link to download the Power BI so we can practice. So the link is already on my slide and you have access to it. One last thing before we call it a day, because we've had a very long day today. I'm just going to share this with you. Now, for those of you who you have a brother, you have a sister, you have a colleague, you have a friend that you think can benefit from this, share the message with them, okay? And follow us across all our platforms, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Follow me across LinkedIn as well. And I will accept connections from you that comes from this class today. One last thing is, go to YouTube, all right? Go to YouTube, search for Analytics. Okay, search for Analytics and you click on the Analytics logo, subscribe, make sure you subscribe, all right? And what this does for you, yesterday, for example, I had another session on build, deploy, and automate your first web scraping project. So we got our data from a website, not from Excel like we did today. So you have access to those type of amazing sessions, all right? And you can also watch and listen to the fantastic testimonials from professionals and watch all the videos we have here for free. And for those of you a little bit worried about, what will happen after the session? Am I going to get the recording? This was a session I held yesterday, and it has been uploaded on YouTube. Okay, so you will get the recording to your emails, the link to your emails. You'll get it in your WhatsApp groups as well. But you also want to ensure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because this would also be made available on YouTube for free, including the slides. If you click on this session that happened yesterday, for example, okay, I'm just going to show you quickly and then I'll call it a day. So you see the session I held, that's me yesterday, teaching how to scrape data from the website. We went to IMDb's website. We went to another website for COVID. All right, and this is me showing, even going to Jumia, how to access data from Jumia or from Amazon and the rest. And you also have the slides available. The slides I used yesterday, you have them here too. Click on that and you have access to the slides, okay? Scraping data from the web using Power BI, all right? So today's session would also be on our YouTube page. So subscribe to our YouTube, follow us so that you are a part of what we do and you don't miss out on any information, all right? My LinkedIn is the same as my name, okay? Adeza Suleiman. Adeza Suleiman. Ifoma is asking, how much is the business analysis class? It's the same as financial analytics. All the programs are the same amount except the Scrum Master program, okay? And all the fees, once you go to the enrollment center, you'd see all the fees there. So you'd see data analytics, business analysis, HR, financial analytics, data science, data engineering, cybersecurity. They are all the same amount. The only different amount is the Scrum Master program. Okay, so my LinkedIn profile is same as my name, Adeza Suleiman. That's my LinkedIn. So you'd see it's right there. Let me go to my profile. All right, so you'd see me right there, Adeza Suleiman. That's my LinkedIn. So follow me and I'll be very happy to connect with you. All right, so we'll call it a day at this point, and I think I've pretty much answered all the questions that we have. Thank you very much for being a part of our program today, and I hope you learned one or two things spending your time with us. We deeply appreciate your time. Would love to see you start. Your hands are raised, Ifoma. Okay, so let me take that last question and then we'll wrap up. So Ifoma, go ahead and ask a question and then we call it a day.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask, you just showed us the YouTube link and everything where there are also testimonials. Now my concern is, you said, oh, we're not working like for part of the program. We are, even when we're going to the employers or the recruiters, we're presenting ourselves as we have experience with 10 analytics or 10 analytics. So my question now is, if they also see that YouTube channel where people are, who I trained with this people, I trained with that people, wouldn't that raise an eyebrow? I'm just asking. Just what I mean.
Okay, so absolutely, I understand what you mean. So it's come up once where we had a session with a potential employer, and it's very simple. Okay, organizations know that you have companies that provide, even in sometimes in your master's program, you have the program and then you have, in Canada, it's called the co-op part of your master's. In the UK, is called internship placements, all right? And that's something similar to what we do. And that's what we communicated. So yes, what we've done with Analytics is I worked as a contractor during my internship with Analytics from this time to this time. As I was learning, I also worked on these projects as a contractor. So it's pretty straightforward. It's really not, it doesn't raise any eyebrow because it's industry standard across board. There are so many organizations that do the same as well. Okay, so that gives, a very clear picture to what that particular candidate has gone through. Just like your master's would have internship placements, you would also have co-op as part of the programs for those doing masters in Canada and so on and so forth. All right, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Ifoma. Thank you very much, Charity. Thanks, Ifoma.
The business analyst, everything is the 3 months, all of them, 3 months.
4 months, 3 months class, 1 month in. The business analysis is 2 months in class, 2 months internship. So some of the classes, the structures are a little bit different. Data engineering is 5 months, for example, 3 months in class and 2 months internship. So depending on the program you want to join, financial analytics is 3 months in class, 1 month internship. Okay, but you have all the details. Once you get into the enrollment center and you go to the program brochures, you have all the details right there. Or you can simply just chat with us. Okay, if you have any questions you want to ask, you click on this button, it takes you directly to our WhatsApp, and you will be chatting with one of our customer success associates to answer all the questions that you have.
Can I get this link, please? Can you put it in the chat? This link.
Okay, this one, absolutely. I'll just copy that, drop it in the chat. Okay, so you can find this everywhere as well, on our LinkedIn, on our YouTube, on our Instagram, on our website as well. Okay, our website is tenalytics.io. Okay, tenalytics.io. It takes you to websites, all right? So you have, you can go through all the programs, see our participants, and so on and so forth. Okay, all right. So we'll call it a day at this point. Thank you very much for joining us today, and have a wonderful weekend ahead of you. I'd love to see you in class. I'd love to see you on the 4th of May or 8th of June or 6th of July, depending on when you'll be starting your journey. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and cheers, everybody. Have a wonderful time.
Thank you.